Atlanta Business Chronicles Biz. Sponsored by Georgia Power.
Good morning, and thanks for joining us. We begin today with headlines. An affiliate of Chick-fil-A is cooking up plans for a new venture outside the fast food sector. It would be called Play Venture, a proposed attraction that includes a play area for kids, a parent lounge, cafe, and retail shop. Red Wagon Ventures came up with the idea. That company is an offshoot of Chick-fil-A that explores new business opportunities. Red Wagon is scouting around the metro for a prime spot, possibly in Buckhead or the Central Perimeter area. The first Play Venture could open later this year. After recently buying the last bit of property needed to complete the Atlanta BeltLine, officials are looking to improve it. The Atlanta BeltLine will hire contractors to stop land from eroding along the South Side Trail that runs from University Avenue to Glenwood Avenue. They've posted no trespassing signs, but officials say the repairs are necessary in case people walking or riding their bikes don't see or read the signs. The BeltLine purchased land for the South Side Trail for $26 million. They'll do a site visit with contractors next week. Well, the state is pumping the brakes on a decades-old highway program. Instead of just improving access to rural residents, the focus now is making sure Georgia can accommodate all the freight that's expected once the Savannah Harbor is deepened. Rural highway projects that fit that new priority will move forward. One project on the agenda, commercial vehicle-only lanes along I-75 south of Atlanta from Macon to McDonough. An annual survey of park space in 100 major U.S. cities ranked Atlanta 43rd. That's 7 points better, though, than the city placed last year. Atlanta scored high for private support of green space, according to the Trust for Public Land. Those private donations will likely continue, analysts say, since the city has increased public funding for parks and recreation. Atlanta scored low for the size of its parks, which are smaller than the national average, but expansions are underway at Piedmont Park and Grant Park. Well, if it seems to you like there are more people in Atlanta, you're right. The Census Bureau says last year, the city of Atlanta added the equivalent of 36 new residents every day. That's more than 13,000 people. The Census Bureau says the fastest growing cities were mostly in the South. Atlanta ranked 10th among large U.S. cities. San Antonio was number 1. It added the equivalent of 64 new residents every day. Well, developers are doing their part to make sure all those new residents will have some place to live. For instance, Toll Brothers has acquired 3 parcels of land in West Midtown, shelling out about $10 million. It filed plans with the city of Atlanta to rezone the sites at Howell Mill Road and 10th Street. Toll Brothers plans to build more than 300 apartments. The development would also include space for shops. A former Home Depot executive, Marvin Ellison, who had gone on to the corner office at JCPenney, announced last month that he would become the next CEO of Home Depot's arch rival, Lowe's. In an exclusive interview, Atlanta Business Chronicle asked Home Depot's current CEO, Craig Menear, about competition in the home improvement space.
You want good competitors. They make you better. They make you focus on what you're doing to drive value for the customer. And to me, that's a good thing. It's a good thing for your organization. It's a good thing for the customer at the end of the day.
Menear says during the next 3 years, Home Depot will invest $11 billion into the company. One of its biggest projects, creating a seamless consumer experience, whether they shop online, in stores, or both. Nestle Purina Pet Care opened a new distribution center in Hartwell. That's about 2.5 hours northeast of Atlanta. The facility distributes Purina products to retailers across the Southeast. The nearly 200,000 square foot plant will be the future home of the company's manufacturing operation. Production is expected to start by the middle of next year. During the next 5 years, Purina will invest $320 million into its Hartwell plant and eventually employ 240 people. Gulfstream Aerospace marks a milestone. The Savannah-based company says one of its jets flew over the North Pole recently to set a new record for a flight to Shanghai, China. The G650 made the trip from White Plains, New York in about 13.5 hours. Average speed, 660 miles an hour. If that's not an indication Gulfstream isn't slowing down anytime soon, the company says it has 2 new jets getting ready to launch into service. The G500 and the G600 are nearing the end of testing.